Okay, so right before the video begins, guys, I'd like to announce to all my Scream fans, I'll be doing a Scream 4K giveaway in the next coming weeks when the film does release on Blu-ray and 4K. I'll be giving away not one, but two 4K copies of Scream 2022, so make sure you follow me on Twitter and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to win one of those 4Ks. I'll be shipping internationally, so it's not just restricted to Australia. So hopefully you guys are keen for that and you subscribe to the channel. As always, take care, God bless, and let's get right into the video. Hello my Woodsboro faithful, and hopefully you've all had the chance to now see Scream 5, and I hope you enjoyed it, or I hope you liked it. If you didn't, you didn't. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about the film. But today I'm going to be breaking down things you missed in Scream 5. Little references here and there to other Scream films, or little Easter eggs to other horror films. Now, the obvious things, or like the standout Easter eggs, I'm not going to mention. For instance, like the callbacks to other cast members, for instance, Judy Hicks being from Scream 4. That is completely obvious. I think Scream fans will know that, and that's not things you missed. I think to an average Scream fan, they will definitely know that. And yes, I have done already a Scream Easter egg breakdown video. However, upon rewatch of the film, I noticed some other little tidbits. So this is going to be more minute things you missed, or some things that you might have not noticed on first watch and you will notice definitely the second time and pay much more attention upon rewatch of the film. So let's get right into the breakdown. Now, right off the bat, we are getting right into the opening scene of the film with Jenna Ortega, who plays Tara Carpenter in the film, and I thought she was absolutely fantastic in this opening scene. I mean, the shift in her emotions from playfully talking along with Ghostface to the shock and emotion when she realized there's a real killer in the house. Absolutely amazing. Now, there are a few subtle Easter eggs here I noticed, or tidbits and references to the first film in terms of like her mannerism, similar to like holding the knife, like Casey Becker, peeking out the window like Casey Becker, to even her sweater, which I thought was just a change of color. And I thought they were really trying to go for, you know, let's try and reenact the first one, but let's try and put our unique spin on it as well. And I like the Easter eggs as well to the original stab cast on Tara Carpenter's phone, where we have David Schwimmer as Dewey Riley, Luke Wilson as Billy Loomis. I mean, she does scroll pretty quickly, so if you are watching it, make sure you pause and then you notice that the whole cast is there. Now, there is a subtle reference to Scream 4 in this scene as well. Now, this reference might go over your head upon first watch of the film. However, I do find it funny that Ghostface decided to call himself Charlie in this scene, which is a reference to a previous Ghostface killer from Scream 4, which was Charlie. Now, I think that is a reference to Scream 4. Whether you think it is or not, that's up to your opinion. However, I think it definitely is. Now, another Easter egg in this opening scene I pointed out upon first watch in the theater was Wes Hicks. Definite reference to Wes Craven there. Now, I didn't know actually Dylan Minette's character was named Wes when I was watching this film for the first time. So as soon as I saw Wes message Tara on the phone, my first instinct was Wes Craven. So RIP to my man. You gave us a fantastic series, and it is continuing with Scream 6. Your legacy lives on. What I found interesting as well is that the film, or one of the opening scenes of Scream 2022 as well, is the characters, or our core group of characters, our high school teenagers, talking with each other on a park bench about what just happened, about the first victim of the film. And I think that is reminiscent and very similar to the first Scream, where you have all our characters as well talking about Casey Becker's death. So I think that's a neat little just comparison with the two films in sort of the opening scenes, or one of the few opening scenes of the film. Now, these are in no particular order, but another sweet Easter egg or little detail you might have missed in this film is when Richie and Sam are driving into Woodsboro at the beginning of the film, and they're driving through the town. You will notice that one of the street signs does say Elm Street. So yes, a nice little reference to Freddy Krueger himself there, and Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which I am yet to watch actually. I've just started watching the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and I'm up to the 4th one. Whether I'll get to it, I don't know, but yes, it is a nice little reference to Freddy Krueger, the man himself. I'd also like to mention that Matt Betteleni-Olpin, the director, or one of the directors of the film, uploaded to Twitter a couple weeks ago all the films that are mentioned or referenced in Scream 5. So make sure you pay close attention when you're rewatching the film to all these references to various films in different forms throughout. So it can be either in dialogue, a VHS, or a poster. So make sure you pay close attention to that. Now, a really awesome audio Easter egg you might have not picked up on. In fact, I did not pick up on this at all. In fact, I was told about this one, is when Sam Carpenter wakes up in the hospital following the supposed nightmare of Vince's attack. However, we all know it was real, but it was just the editing made it look like she was waking up from a nightmare. Before she does, actually after she asks Richie, "What are you watching?" you can hear the faint audio of Casey Becker's screams from Scream 1. Hey. So after he does reply he is watching the Stab films on Netflix, he was actually watching the first Scream film. Obviously in universe he wasn't watching the Scream universe. However, it was a nice little Easter egg for the audience to introduce Drew Barrymore's screams one last time. Now, a nice little callback to Scream 2 in this scene where Sam gets attacked in the hospital by Ghostface when she gets the first phone call by him, and then she basically calls him out to show himself, to show his face, and then Ghostface is behind the door and says, "With pleasure." Now, this is a reference to Scream 2 where Sydney is in the house with her boyfriend following Cece's untimely death. Yes, shout out Sarah Michelle Gellar, another victim of Ghostface. But yes, Sydney does call him a coward and "show your face, you effing coward." To Ghostface's reply, "My pleasure." Yes, the "with" and "my" are switched up between the films, but you cannot help but think that is a neat callback to Scream 2.
Why don't you show your face, you fucking coward?
My pleasure.
You wanna fuck with me, asshole? I'm right here. Come and get me.
With pleasure.
Now, moving on to the first kill of the film, yes, Vince does meet a terrible demise. A quick knife puncture to the throat, and then he bleeds out on the floor as Ghostface watches his cold, lifeless body drown in his own blood. But yes, I do like how Red Right Hand does play in Vince's scene. And if you don't know what that is, I think it's one of the first songs you hear in Scream, the first Scream film, and it is a callback to obviously that film. But I think this scene also has a tie-in to one of the kills in the Scream MTV series, in particular season 3, where Ghostface does kill one of his victims, or Mr. Fade, in the car with a quick knife puncture similar to the same region where Vince died as well. However, it was in the car and he does put the paper bag over him and he drowns in his own blood. But I do think there are quite a few similarities there, you know, taking place near a car and being snuck up on and stabbed in sort of a similar position. Moving on to another Easter egg regarding one of our fallen soldiers from the previous Scream films, we have a reference to Tatum in the scene with Dewey in the caravan. Now, as Dewey approaches the box to get his gun, and you can see in the background in other shots as well, there is a little box or jar with the gold engraved word Tatum on it, and that's a reference to obviously Dewey's long lost sister, who we did lose in Scream 1, obviously, to a fatal death to Ghostface. The scene with Mindy Meeks and the whole group talking with each other about the new set of rules and requels, we have multiple references in this, so I think there is nothing to miss here as it is in the dialogue of the film. However, we do get to see Mindy Meeks and Chad Meeks' mother, Martha Meeks, which is Randy's sister, and Randy obviously was their uncle. You see the memorabilia on the walls, tributes to Randy all around. You also have the Stab box set in the house as well, and you see multiple pictures of films, horror films, iconic horror films such as Psycho, etc. within the house. And then you have Mindy's rant about requels, you know, talking about remakes. You have the Jurassic Parks, you have the Star Wars, everything, and how nothing can be just a standalone sequel now. It has to be somehow tied into the original. And I do find that, I guess, a bit tongue-in-cheek with this film, because I do think this film is like the Force Awakens of the Scream films. I do think it's very similar to the first film, and when you compare them, there is a lot of similarities, and I think they played it safe, but however, it was a neat return to the franchise. Now, moving on to Dylan Minette's character's death. Now, this was a really sad death in the film. It completely caught me off guard as well, because I thought, you know, a notable character. He's a Hicks, he's a returning, or a link to a returning character from the previous Scream films. I thought my man was going to be all cool, but no, sadly, he died. But a neat little Easter egg in this film, or in this scene, for instance, is a tie-in to Scream 4 with the lemon squares, little post-it note on the fridge letting him know that his mummy has made him a nice little dessert in the fridge while her dead laying corpse is outside on the front porch. But I guess he doesn't get to know that, but he might find out that when he gets to meet his mum in heaven. But yes, the lemon squares are a callback to Scream 4, with Dewey saying he likes her lemon squares, and, you know, Gail getting a bit jealous in those scenes, and maybe Gail getting a little bit concerning with Judy, and getting too close to Dewey. But yes, we all know what happens in Scream 4, but that's just a neat little callback to them. Now, following Judy and Wes's death, we probably have one of the most Easter egg filled shots in the entire film, and that is the scene where Richie is watching film fails, or I think the Dead Meat channel on YouTube, them talking about Stab 8, and then, you know, setting in tone the recall rules as well, you know, just call it Stab 8, why do you call it Stab? But however, before it cuts to his iPad, you do hear Richie watching Stab, but is he really watching Stab? No, he is not. If you play close attention, he is actually watching Scream 1996, as you can hear Casey Becker's scream right before it cuts to him on YouTube watching, obviously, the Stab 8 fails, or the Stab 8 film fails scene. And then in this scene, or in this shot, for instance, this one shot is loaded with Easter eggs. We have an interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed, confirming that Kirby Reed does indeed survive Scream 4. I know a lot of people are happy to see that, and could she be potentially returning in Scream 6? Who knows? And then we also have Rian Johnson on reinventing Stab. Now, is this a cheeky little jab at Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi? You know, are they talking about him ruining the Stab series as he did with Star Wars? Now, don't hold a gun to my head. I'm just, you know, just trying to be a little bit playing devil's advocate here. You can like the Star Wars sequels, but I'm just saying, is that a little jab at Rian Johnson, or a neat little play on the recall rules in terms of, like, you know, going against what the fans wanted? I don't know. That's your call. But as well, we have every Stab 2021 kill ranked from worst to worst. I just love these references. And then as well, Not My Stab, join the Stabhead army. You know, again, on toxic fandom, which is what Richie and Amber's motive was in the film. You know, they were pissed off Stab fans, and they want to reinvent the franchise and provide new material for Hollywood. But the last one, it's in frame, or it's in the laptop screen for only about half of the thumbnail. You can see episode 118, True Crime Conspiracies. Did the real life Stu Matcha survive? Now, is that a hint for the potential, I guess, returning of Matthew Lillard as Stu Matcha for Scream 6? In my personal opinion, no. I think that's just a neat little Easter egg just to get Scream fans thinking. I do think he is actually dead, because my man was dead. I mean, if you take close attention to that scene, he was stabbed multiple times, and as well, my man had a TV land on his face and he was electrocuted. So I'm pretty sure Stu's dead. I do not think the directors have any intention of bringing him back. I do think this is a Scream story to tell for the new generation, and I do not think Stu will be making a return in Scream 6. However, you never know. Fast forwarding all the way to the third act, we have multiple Easter eggs in the third act as well. We obviously have the For Wes party sign, and we all know who that a reference is to, but it is Wes Craven. RIP to the man that invented Scream and brought this beloved franchise to all of us. I know I was late to the party, but hopefully you guys can take me in as one of your own. But as well, it's a reference to Wes Hicks in the film, but we all know who it really was for. It was for Wes Craven. Now, I do love the scene where Amber does, or Mikey Madison does, run out of the house and he's faking, I guess, being her or being scared of Ghostface, and Dewey and Gail and Sydney, were just like to themselves, hang on a sec, listen here, you're a flop, what are you trying to do, my man? We're too experienced in this game, it's a trap. But however, Gail does get shot in the same stomach area as she does in Scream 2, so that's a nice little callback to Scream 2, which you guys might have missed. Now, another thing in the third act as well, which was very similar to the first film, is how Tara is tied up, similar to Neil Prescott in the first film, Sydney's father, and in a similar cupboard as well, since it is Stu Marker's house. So that's a neat little callback to the first film. However, in this film, we do know that Tara does get out earlier than Neil Prescott. Neil Prescott is basically saved after all the massacres happen. I do like as well when Sydney does enter the house for the first time in the third act. You can see a nice little shot of umbrellas just at the door, and we all know what Sydney did with those umbrellas in the first film. I mean, she was absolutely a menace with it. She destroyed Billy Loomis with those umbrellas. So yes, that's a nice little callback to Scream 1. Probably the most gruesome death in the film, or probably the most satisfying. Gruesome or satisfying? I don't know, but I like Mikey Madison. I kind of have a crush on her, so it kind of hurt me so bad. It hit me in the feels, man. But yes, her death was absolutely reminiscent of her death in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And yes, similar to her demise as one of the Manson associates or the Manson family. She got burnt alive in that film, and in this film she meets a similar fate, playing a psychotic serial killer as well. However, unlike Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she does get one final chance from God, and she does blow it, or I guess she gets blowed in the head by Tara. Find it funny as well that in the first film, Dewey says to Sydney that he sees a young Meg Ryan playing her character in like her own story. And then in this film, we have Meg Ryan's son playing a serial killer in Jack Quaid in this film. So that's a nice little callback you might have missed, or a nice little reference, or something you didn't know. Maybe it's a nice fun fact you guys can tell your other Scream fans and have a one-up on them. Now, another reference to a Scream character in the franchise. This is not a long-lost character. In fact, my man is still alive, and that is Detective Mark Kincaid, baby. Because when Dewey does call Sydney for the first time and he asks her, you know, how's Mark and the kids? And that is a reference to obviously Detective Mark Kincaid from Scream 3. Basically verifying that him and Sydney did get along with each other, you know, their brutal past or their, you know, stuffed up past did get along. And yeah, they had kids, and Sydney has girls now with Mark Kincaid. Could we potentially see him return in Scream 6? You never know, but Patrick Dempsey, my man, the script is there for you. Now, another neat little tidbit I did not pay attention to, however I noticed upon rewatches, was Mindy Meeks' attire in the third act scene where she's watching the Randy Meeks stab scene, and it's happening in real life as well to her. She's actually wearing the same mint green shirt and brown pants as Randy was in the first Scream film, and I thought that was a neat little callback, or a nice little, I guess, costume Easter egg to the first film. We all know what that scene represents and what the scene is recreating. That's not something Scream fans would have missed, but I think if you pay attention to her costuming as well, she does wear what Randy, or the same colors Randy was wearing in the first film. I just noticed this upon re-editing. Chad actually refused sex from Liv in this movie, which is, I think, was a neat callback to Randy's rules in Scream 1, you know, you never have sex. However, if they did choose to have sex in this film, would Liv have survived because they might have been occupied upstairs? Maybe it depends on how long Chad would have lasted. But as well, Chad's fate would have been different if they chose to have sex. So you never know. The choice to have sex can save you in a Scream film. Another reference to Scream 1 is actually the final shot of this film. The final shot of this film, the panning shot, the wide take panning to a bird's eye shot of Stu Macher's house, is taken straight out of Scream 1996's page book, with how we finish off with the same shot during the day or dawn, where multiple police officers are coming to the house and going inside and out of the house, and multiple reporters are telling the news, and we have the same bird's eye view shot or panning out shot. Now, Scream 5 does end with a similar shot, however, it is at night with multiple police officers as well, detectives going inside and out of the house, and reporters telling the news about, you know, how the same thing happened 20 years ago in Stu Macher's house. I just like that reference, and it's the same panning shot, so I think that was a nice callback to the ending of Scream 1. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to listen to my stupid voice as I recorded this video. I know I didn't show my face, but still, hopefully you enjoyed my little take on all these minute details you might have missed on your first watch of Scream 2022. Are you going to see the film again? And are you going to pay much attention to these little Easter eggs? Or don't you really care about these? You just want to see some people get brutally murdered? Or what was your favorite Easter egg or little tidbit I mentioned? Did I miss any? Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this video. And if you enjoyed the content, please feel free to like, share, subscribe. As always, it's been your boy Ali Moses. Take care. God bless. Peace.